What are your opinions on ranch dressing?
Uncle Dan's ranch dressing, which is very regional, invented by a guy here in Yakima. Justin, you know what I'm talking about? Uncle Dan's?
I've had it at your house. Now, was
Yeah.
the man who invented it named Tim or Steve?
No, he was Dan Stevens.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
And I like ranch, but Uncle Dan's is like, then there's the also rans.
Is it top tier then? So is it bottled? Is
No,
Uncle Dan's like a bottled?
It's
No.
a powder that you put in the, yeah.
All
Those
the
are always
ingredients.
better.
It's fresh.
Those are always the best ones.
Right.
Although I think I have seen now, like they have started making Uncle Dan's in the container pre-made, but it's not as good as when you make it yourself.
Right. What about blue cheese? See, I used to hate that. My mom, who eats everything, and she's not obese or anything, but my mom can eat sardines and pickled pig's feet and artichoke hearts. Doesn't matter. I swear to God. But she used to eat blue cheese on salad, and all I could eat was Uncle Dan's. Now, blue cheese, but they're, again, a regional taste treat, Marie's blue cheese. So I'm like, if it's Marie's blue cheese, I'm cool. I don't need your Hidden Valley, whatever.
Oh, Hidden Valley only makes ranch. Anything else is Hidden Valley on its trash. There's a reason that valley stays in. It's just because of the ranch deposits they have there. When they pull from the ranch well, it's delicious. Anything else they try to make, horseshit. Blue cheese,
It's like this.
Lighthouse,
Ranch water.
either of those.
Notice that's a
Yeah,
ranch water.
exactly. The good people at CLS Farms, CSL Farms, whatever they are, they're like Uncle Jed Clampett, except instead of oil, they hit themselves a ranch water, and the rest is history. They've just been canning it ever since.
Which reminds me of a joke.
have,
It reminds me of a joke really quick. Hashtag dad joke. What's the first thing you know?
Nothing.
Old Jed's a millionaire.
Old Jed's a millionaire. I used to love that show.
Used to, still
Yeah, when I was sick. Have you guys ever been to Cracker Barrel?
We don't have those out here.
Look at me. I've been to Cracker Barrel. I've got a Cracker Barrel pod. Yeah.
So the only thing I eat at Cracker Barrel is their chicken tenders because they're the best chicken tenders, best ranch dressing, and then you get all your fixins, all your sides, right? So that's the only meal that I eat at Cracker Barrel, and we would stop there. That's the only place we would stop on our drives to Florida every single year. That's the only place we stopped. We didn't stop anywhere else.
Only Cracker Barrel.
Only Cracker Barrel. It is like our family crack.
So you're really good at playing oversized checkers?
Yes, and the little ones. They have the little one, the normal size inside.
Nobody wants to play those. I want a rocking chair and the fucking giant checkers. That's what I want to do at Cracker Barrel. And then I want grits, and I want the syrup with the grits. Thank you.
Yum. And they sold all those old DVDs of all those old shows, and so I would buy them, like the little turd that I am at 13, 14 years old, watching what was that one? Green Acres, watching Petticoat Junction.
Oh,
you guys watch that shit?
It's all the same. It's all the same show, basically. Do they have things like the Beverly Hillbillies in England? Would people get that?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if it was on over here. I have no idea.
I was just gonna say English humor is a little bit different, and now that I'm older, Faulty Towers and shows like that, Mr. Bean, of course, Rowan Atkinson. Like now I find it hilarious, but when we were kids, Benny Hill was just funny because he had ladies with big bazoombas, and that's all, and pat the old man on the head.
Yeah, it was.
I still don't get it. I still don't understand the British humor. Like I've tried sitting and watching some old British shows.
Oh, Faulty Towers is great. It's like
I know my grandma used to love it.
It's wonderful. Oh God, yeah.
My grandma used to love it. I just don't get it.
Huh. Well, I would always we would go to Cracker Barrel every once in a while, but when you're traveling down south, the first time we took a trip down south, we drove past them. I'm like, oh, what the heck? They just sell Jimmy Dean's sausage? Turns out that Jimmy Dean's had its own restaurant. And ever since I found Jimmy Dean's, I was like, that's where we go when we're down south. Cracker Barrel's when we're upside Mason-Dixon line. Down south, you find a Jimmy Dean's where they put fucking gravy and sausage on everything.
You gotta live a Jimmy.
I'm so old that when I grew up, we were much less sensitive, and we literally had a chain of restaurants called Little Black Sambo's.
Yeah, you've got
Remember that?
I know where the Sambos is, right up where it used to be. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wowzers. Do they still exist? No.
No, I certainly hope they do not. I believe there's a diner at what used to be there now.
Mel's.
And
in
I think they've
Yakima.
turned that over. Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if that reopened in 2024?
Well, depending on how things go in this country, I could see that happening, to be perfectly honest. So.
Amen. Welcome to Sweat Socks and All That Sauce with Justin K and Todd, where no sport is off limits, but we're not going to get political. Oh,
there's no fucking Sambos in the Midwest where I came from. Like, we did not grow up with the Sambos. I'll just tell you that right now. I just know of
We
it.
did not. This week, we're not debating as much. Maybe we'll debate. I guess we'll see. Knowing Justin and his hot takes on literally everything, it probably will turn into a debate. But who is an athlete that inspired you to be a sports fan? And this one came from Todd, and I had to do a little digging in my memories. But mine doesn't go as far back as yours probably does.
Well, that's because he's older than you by quite a lot.
Well, the inspiration
both of
was
you.
the cover of Sports Illustrated, most recent, was the 50 most influential figures in sports, and there's some female basketball player. I don't know who it is. And then I looked at their list, and I was like, I haven't heard of any of these mother humpers except for like Pat Mahomes, a bunch of soccer players and cricket guys and rugby people and executives. And I was like, well, who influenced me to love sport? I mean, my dad influenced me to get into, be interested in sports, but then we all have our first team and our first player that we sort of wanted to emulate or be like.
Well, before we get into it, Todd, can you please give us the latest news for the week, please?
News of the weird. Okay, we were just mentioning this. Okay, I don't know. This will be interesting. People of a certain age might remember Garbage Pail Kids trading cards from back in the day. Well, a collectibles company teamed up with them for a special card set with ultra rare inserts. If you collect trading cards, like I have a ridiculous amount of, now they're pimping like, oh, in every pack you get the special card. And so they are making Garbage Pail Kid versions of some baseball players, including like Paul Skeens, Jackson Holliday. So I don't know. Is it just another way to make you, I got to get the Garbage Pail Kid version of.
Everybody's hitting on this nostalgia button, aren't they? And it's working.
It's because people of a certain age, the age of acquisition, they have disposable income. You need to. This is why they make these things popular again.
I don't have. Do you have disposable income? I don't.
There's other people our age that have made better life choices, Kay. And
you have an RV, Justin. Fuck you. You have an RV.
Hey, I'm not going to bring that sponsorship into this particular podcast because I don't want to lose that RV. Okay, come on.
So have you upgraded from your, what was it before that you used to have, like a 2-sided thing that like pulled out?
My pop-up camper? Yeah, we've upgraded from that. Yeah, I got a family of 5 and an F-150 now, so yeah, I can pull something that actually actually livable and not just, you can't just bring a couple of radio bimbos with you for a weekend music festival and have it completely destroyed by the end of it, which is what happened to my pop-up camper, which I loaned basically to our radio station so that the on-air talent could use it at a weekend event. And instead
that's awesome.
It's like Motley Crue stayed in there for the weekend.
Did it look like an episode of Breaking Bad had been filmed in it by the end of the weekend?
Yeah, I think Kay was roasting a goat in there at the end. Garlic and cumin coming off the curtains. Question about the Garbage Pail Kids, or the Garbage Pail Kids. So they're taking athletes now and they're making them the Garbage Pail Kids. Wouldn't it make more sense to have like Lou Gehrig and Kirby Puckett? I don't know, people who may have decomposed a little bit. They'd be a more realistic Garbage Pail Kid. Wouldn't you think? I don't know why I thought of those were the two I came up with.
Decomposed.
What?
Why'd you use the word decomposed?
Because they probably are. I don't know. Were they cremated? I'm not sure. Now, Ted Williams, we got to leave him alone because he's frozen. And we want to make sure that he looks tip-top when they bring him back.
Who's frozen?
What do you think? If you gave Ted Williams, right, Ted Williams' head is frozen? Todd, is this true or is that just a rumor?
Yeah, there's a big lawsuit in his family about it.
So I'm just saying, like, 2,000 years from now, if humans still inhabit the Earth, you put Ted Williams' head on a robot body, will he not just crush every robot baseball record? I can only imagine that guy with those reflexes, that twitch added to a robot body. I think, because I'm assuming by then we'll just be cheering on robots, but of course robots with reanimated heads of our frozen favorite athletes. Can't wait to trade those cards.
How did this legally happen, where somebody was allowed to freeze just the head?
He wanted to.
The man, this man.
Yeah,
he was cool.
I actually know him. I have a friend of a friend who came into some money. He won a contest on the internet, and he took a bunch of it, and he bought himself a really fancy telescope, and he spent most of the rest of it on some company that is going to freeze his head when he dies. And I said, so that he could be brought back to life at some point. And I said, well, why wouldn't you just freeze your whole body? He's like, they can bring my head back. If I can think I want my regular body, I want the sweet robot body they're going to make for me. I was like, well, you've put a lot of thought into this.
This discussion kind of brings me into a sports player who brought my love for sport into fruition. Is that the word, fruition?
Fruition, I believe.
Fruition. And that is, can anybody guess?
David Beckham.
No. I'm going to guess, knowing your age.
It deals with robots.
Hugh Jackman in Real Steel, which, by the way, was not a documentary, Kay. That was a movie.
I love Hugh Jackman.
Shocking.
Todd, any guesses?
The robot thing's throwing me for a loop. I was like, I know your age. I know you grew up in, being Detroit fans. So I was trying to think of somebody, but the robot thing's got me all screwed up.
Calvin Johnson Jr., a.k.a.
Megatron.
Megatron, my friend. Well done. Great segue. That just naturally happened. I'm digging that. Love that. So he, what did he get drafted in 2007 or something like that? So that was the year that I graduated high school. And that's about the time, I'd say, that I kind of started getting into the whole NFL thing and started really looking into it. And before that, I was a baseball fan because that's what my dad liked. And yeah, I don't know. But Calvin Johnson, that man, holy cow. I looked up some of his stuff. At the time of his retirement in 2015, he held several NFL records, including the most receiving yards in a season, which was 1,964 in 2012, and the most consecutive games with 100 or more receiving yards. He still holds the Lions' career record for most receptions, 731, and receiving yards, 11,619. What a gem.
Yeah, indeed. And all of those were in the regular season, right?
Yeah, what a...
I heard what you said, Justin. In fact, the Seahawks DK Metcalf, since the Seahawks just played the Lions on Monday night, we won't go into that any further, but Megatron was at the game on the sideline, and DK and him, there was a picture, and DK is a big dude, and Megatron dwarfed him.
That's unbelievable. That's
He's
wild, because DK Metcalf is a huge, like you said. But, yeah, Megatron was. I mean, he was so big. And they still couldn't make the playoffs. Jace, how about that?
Well, isn't that just sad? If he had been for a team, and he stayed with the Lions for his entire career, and that's just incredible to me. It makes me sad though. I kind of wish he had gone to a team where he would have been able to make the play, because he deserves that, doesn't it? To make not even like the Super Bowl, but at least to make it. To maybe make the Super Bowl. That would be.
I mean, if he really deserved to make the playoffs, Kay, he would have made the playoffs. Clearly, he didn't deserve it. He must not have wanted it. Didn't he retire kind of early? Like, he could have played a couple more years, and he decided just to back out.
In typical Lions fashion, like Barry Sanders, fuck it, I'm out. I'm the greatest, but
yeah, right. Barry Sanders had lots of
going anywhere.
Like, I'm done.
Yep, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Do not disrespect.
Oh, I'd have nothing but respect for Barry Sanders. I'll tell you why. He was smart. He went out at the top of his game. He could have played a few more years, but you know what he can do now? Walk without a walker. He's not in a wheelchair. And that guy, boy, as soon as he stopped training to be an NFL running back, just his shape now is outstanding. And he's like the Blue Grimace. It's amazing.
What's a Blue Grimace?
Well, you know who Grimace is.
No.
Well, he's kind of like the Barney in the McDonald's lineup.
And he's
you got
now
the clown,
the
you got the
de facto
hamburger.
mascot for the New York Mets.
Yes.
That guy, the big purple thing.
Yeah. Barry Sanders just blew him shorter.
Right. Tell me your stories about your first sports love.
Ooh, Todd, I can't wait to hear this.
I'm going to give some names that you guys will, I think, easily recognize. And I had to search back. I'm way older than you guys, and I've got a lot more kind of resin in my brain that needs to get cleared. But Curly Neal, Harlem Globetrotter, right? Curly Neal. I loved that guy when I was 4, 5, 6 years old. Then Evel Knievel. Was there a bigger sports figure on the planet than Evel Knievel? I had the little wind-up motorcycle. That was a huge toy. Boxing-wise, Muhammad Ali was probably the biggest. He's probably, other than Michael Jordan, the most worldwide known athlete. But I love Sugar Ray Leonard. In fact, I should bring that down. My picture with Sugar Ray is one of my...
The singer?
Sugar Ray
The
Leonard.
singer?
Jesus fucking
Sugar
Christ,
Ray
man.
Leonard. Hey, Jesus Christ.
Did he sing that one song?
I just want to punch you.
And then this one you guys should know. Steve Garvey was a first baseman for mostly the LA Dodgers. And when I was a kid, you're always a front runner. And I'm only like 7, and the Dodgers were champs, so I liked Steve Garvey. But my first sports hero, and the Supersonics won the world championship, I loved Gus Williams. He was their point guard. I still, to this day, in honor of Gus, tie my shoes in the back. Which was actually, there was good reason why he did it, but I loved Gus Williams.
Aw.
And the 78, 79 Supersonics. That was the first guy I wanted to be.
Oh, you couldn't be him. I'm sorry.
Nope. No chance. Not even close.
God, and here I thought you just had Velcro shoes. Turns on your laces are just in the back. That's wild.
With my Garbage Pail Kid collection.
Todd's still 8 years old
And
living in the 70s.
my troll pen topper. Whee!
Yeah. Sadly, all my Garbage Pail Kids ended up in the spokes of my bike, I think, so I can make motorcycle sounds. Those things are probably worth a mint if I hadn't done that now. Well, I grew up in a south suburb of Minneapolis, a fat left-handed kid who played baseball. There was 2 of us who had that arc in our storyline. One was named Kent Herbeck, the other was named me. And he grew up in the suburb next to us. And like even growing up, Ken Herbeck's poster was on my wall. I had the Ken Herbeck glove. I would go to the games. I would go and I would get all the ballots and I would vote for Ken Herbeck as many times as possible to let him be an all-star. Several times he was selected to be an alternate and he said, piss off, I'm going to go fishing instead, which at the time really I didn't understand. I'm like, no, don't you want to play in the all-star game? Now I'm older, I get it. But even like in traveling baseball or Legion baseball, you'd go to a ballpark, in Bloomington or Burnsville or Savage, and these are suburbs of South Minneapolis, but whatever ballpark you'd be at, someone would say, hey, Ken Herbeck hit one over the school one time, or, Ken Herbeck hit one over that smokestack. And you believed him, because fucking Ken Herbeck he was God amongst men that were chubby left-handed kids from the south suburbs of Minneapolis.
Right, so Kay likes a guy nicknamed Megatron. And What was the nickname of Kent Herbeck?
T-Rex.
What?
When he briefly was going to become a professional wrestler, his name was indeed, I believe, T-Rex. And I believe that all came about.
No. He was the Michelin.
What was it?
He was the Michelin Man.
Oh, you're making fun of him now. How dare you? That's okay. That's okay, because you know what? And I've never told this story. I've told it amongst friends, but I've never told it anywhere where Ken Herbeck could one day hear it. But that motherfucker, one time when I was, let's say, 5th grade, we're at Metrodome, and my mom would let us stay late after the games. And if you waited by the exits, there is an exit where the players would come out and you could get autographs, right? But like Kirby Puckett didn't go through that exit, right? Like they sent Al Newman through that exit. Like they sent distractions through that exit, and then the guys would go out of other exits around the Metrodome. So my brother and I, we were wise to that. So we would run around Metrodome trying to find the other players and catch them as they were coming out. And one time, out of one of the side doors comes my idol, Kent Herbeck. I mean, my knees are shaking. He's a giant at this point. And I just remember that I walk up to him. I've got my Kent Herbeck glove. I probably have a Kent Herbeck fucking shirt on. I said, Mr. Herbeck, may I have your autograph, sir? And he looks down at me and he says, I'm not Kent Herbeck, kid. I'm the umpire. And he starts walking away. And I say, well, could I have your autograph, Mr. Umpire? And he looks back, and I'll never forget, because at that point, Gary Gaetti pulls up, and I'm not kidding, in a fucking Fiero, and gets out, opens the door. He's wearing Zubaz. And Ken Herbeck looks back to me and says, no, laughs, gets in the car. I think they have a good laugh about it, like telling him, like, I told him I was the umpire. And they drive away.
Oh, no.
I
That's
took down the Ken Herbeck poster. I decided that I liked Tim Laudner instead, or Greg Gagne, or Gary, anybody but Kent fucking Herbeck.
Oh,
May I point out that years later, Kay, you and I both spent some time with Mr. Herbeck on a fundraising endeavor. Now, I will say this about Kent, because we were on a first-name basis, even though he doesn't know this story. He lost his father to Lou Gehrig's disease, and so he's pretty passionate about, fundraising for this. And so we would do this event every year where we'd raise money. And, we're talking like 7 figures for ALS and the Alzheimer's, or not, the Lou Gehrig's disease and the ALS Association.
Right.
And, yes, it was a 3-day snowmobile ride, and you'd have to raise like X amount of dollars, thousands of dollars, just to get on the ride. And we would do the ride. We would broadcast from the stops along the way, and then they'd put Terry Steinbach, same thing. His dad died from Lou Gehrig's disease, so he's on there. Then they recruit Ron Gardenhire. Then they recruit, at some point, Ron goes to Detroit. Now Kirk Gibson's on the ride. Jack Morris is on the ride. It's just this who's who of all-time great twins showing up on this. And so we get to have Kent, on with us on the radio after a couple years. May I say our first year there, there's like, hey, Kent, we're on the radio here. We're broadcasting. We're just trying to get more people to donate. You think you can stop in and jump on with us? He's like, yeah. Let me finish my breakfast here, which, by the way, was substantial. Funny. We promote for about half hour, like, hey, Ken Herbeck's going to be on talking about the ALS Association and why you should be donating. And eventually, like, God, where is he? I walk into the dining room and fucking empty plate and empty chair. Ken Herbeck has ghosted us. So
I'm sensing a trend here.
Enter like year
Troy.
3 of this event. Yeah. Well, okay, so this is like 3, maybe 4 years into this. Like, we've gotten so committed to this event. Now they're like, hey, not only are you broadcasting, we want you to be kind of like the master of ceremonies. Like, there's a big dinner at the end where they raise tens of thousands of dollars, and I'm up there, like, steering everything. And so at this point, now Kent knows my name and recognizes me. So I figure, like, we're on good terms, right? Like, he's coming down the interview. We've hobnobbed a little bit on the ride. So I'm up there and, just pointing out to everybody, hey, just trying to have fun. Had fun with Gardy. He doesn't laugh because he never laughs at anything. Have a little fun with Terry Steinbach. He giggles a little bit. And I'm like, man, everybody, Kent Herbeck. Look at this guy. He looks great. I hear he's been lifting. Ron Gant. And everybody laughs except Kent Herbeck. Now, if you don't know, Kent Herbeck lifted Ron Gant off of first base in the 1991 World Series. Ron Gant called out, even though, like, Kent Herbeck clearly lifted him off the bag to, like, get him to be out. But I tell that joke. I told it at the kickoff party, and then I told it again at the big celebratory dinner. And at that point, he got up and he's like, I didn't laugh at it the first time you said it. And I was like, thanks, Kent.
Oh my God. Is that why you left Minnesota?
Yes. No, can I fast forward, though, 3 more years? Let's say 3-4 more years. Now we're at a radio station event. We're up ice fishing on Lake of the Woods, which is on the Minnesota-Canada border. It's just this giant expanse. In wintertime, a barren wasteland that you drive miles out onto to drill a hole in the ice and fucking sit there for 8 hours and hope you catch some fish. For sure get drunk. After our first day of fishing, we're back at the resort, and we're having dinner. Here comes Kent fucking Herbeck. Not with us. He's with a different group of people. Now, keep in mind, there's some people with me that are way bigger radio deals, and I mean, like, they are household names in that part of the world. And Kent Herbeck walks over, is like, hey, Justin, how you been? what you doing up here? And all of a sudden, everyone around me is like, Kent Herbeck fucking knows your name? And I was like, yeah, he doesn't know yours. And so, because of that, all is forgiven. Because in front of a couple of schmarmy, shitty radio people with very giant egos, they were put in their place and humbled. And Ken even let me try on his World Series ring. And we got a photo. And the losers I was with, Kent, can we get a photo with you? And I said, I'll take the picture. And Kent's like, no, you get in here. You got to be in this photo if I take it. So again, totally redeemed himself in my eyes.
So thank you for the short version, Justin. And I think we know the name of this episode. If you can see it. Here's the name of today's episode. Never meet your heroes.
Well, that goes to my next question, which is hero, not hero. I'm where you're obviously standing at hero at the minute.
Just because of that one turn. It's funny though, because there was a lot of downturn before we got to this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I was down. I think I was there for one of those downturns. But why? I'm very disappointed. I was not there for the upturn.
But Justin, J-Man Troy, you were there, and you were persistent, much like Rudy. You persisted in trying to.
Fuck's sake. Don't fucking Ruby me. I am not Rudy. How dare you?
What are some athletes that we know, Justin? I don't want to ask Justin any more questions because it's just going to be Kent
If
Herbeck.
Rudy was standing on top of Rudy with a fake beard and a trench coat, that's the only way Rudy could pass for me. Thanks.
Todd, do you have any disappointing
Yeah, in
athletes?
fact, it's funny. Justin's story, well, the first of the Mal stories with Kent Herbeck. As a youngster, Justin mentioned when you would go to the games, baseball games, my parents would drop us off, me and my brother, with a $20 bill. We'd stay there for hours, and we knew where the players exited, especially the visiting players, because they had to get on a freaking bus. And we knew where the visiting team was. And I'm a Mariner fan. We didn't have a lot of guys worth getting autographs from. So we were like, oh, and I'll never forget, we're playing the Red Sox, and everybody's just getting random guys. We don't even know who they are. And they're signing, walking on the bus. And somebody goes, Wade Boggs. And this one guy was signing, and 50 kids just bolt. And this guy's face just collapses, but he got on the bus. But it was when the A's were in town. Rickey Henderson, the great Rickey Henderson, everybody wanted Rickey. And he's like, Rickey not signing tonight. And so some kids started booing him and heckling him and F you, Rickey. And he gets on the bus, rolls down the window, and starts spitting on these kids. And I'm not kidding. And I was like, on one hand, that's kind of cool. And on the other hand, that's a total dick move, man. And he's one of the
Rick, could you imagine having that much power where you could just spit on people and nothing will happen to you?
I dream of that, Kay.
Spit on that thing. Hawk Tuah.
I just want to give the world one big hawk Tuah.
And then disappointment, Kay, as far as just an athlete's performance. It was my 2001 Seattle Mariners that I mentioned previously that won the most games ever. They got in the playoffs. They made it all the way. This is the year, eh? And the Yankees were up 3-1, and we're like, all right, this is the nuts, man, the brass tacks. And the Mariners sent out a pitcher of a Washington State Cougar by the name of Aaron Seeley. And that motherfucker gave up 6 runs in the first 4 innings. It is the most gutless performance I've ever seen in my life. I hate that guy's droopy face to this day.
Maybe he had a stroke, Todd. You shouldn't judge people on their looks. You should have spit on him.
We're really getting deep.
So there's my joke.
Oh goodness me, those are very disappointing. Although I'm kind of proud of what's the name of the guy that was spitting on people?
Rickey Henderson.
Rickey Henderson?
Who I just saw 2
The
weekends
Rickey
ago, and I
Henderson.
was like, I traveled back to 14 years old, And my pants were getting tighter as a 53-year-old man. I was like, that's Rickey.
He's drooling. Oh my God.
Hey, Rickey, you can spit on me if you want to.
Tuah me, please. So I had to. Is that gonna be like the new like sexting lingo? Hawk Tuah me, please.
Rick Tuah. Ricky Tuah.
Rickey Tuah. Nauticum Sue is one of my most disappointing players.
Good one, Kay.
I was like,
That was your idol, your hero?
no. He's just simply disappointing. He was drafted. I know the Lions weren't great, but he was drafted second overall in the 2010 draft. I looked up what he did, stomping on Evan Dietrich Smith in 2011.
Uh-huh.
He kicked Matt Schaub
Uh-huh.
and was fined $30,000. Illegal blocking was fined $100,000 for blocking Minnesota center John Sullivan.
Uh-huh.
Stepping on Aaron Rodgers, which I'm kind of like,
That was
go get it, boy. He was suspended for 1 game for stepping on his leg. Oh, maybe he fucked it. Was it his left leg?
That's what all started. Ndamukong Suh started the Aaron Rodgers demise.
Maybe that's
10
it.
years before it actually happened, but yes.
And ripping off Andy Dalton's helmet in 2011 and was fined for $20,000.
You know, they do all this background checks and due diligence before they draft a player. Did they think to test him for rabies? Because I felt like he could have bit people at any time. He was an idiot.
And then Miami took him. They were like, yeah, let's make him our problem.
Yeah.
Why
The
not?
thing is because he was a monster. I'm like, he was really good when he wasn't stepping on people, kicking people, biting people, shivving people.
It's
Just
probably because his brain didn't develop due to eating pizza 4 nights in a row and a bunch of chicken fingers at the fucking Cracker Barrel.
Oh, I love it.
One final athlete that I looked up to, still kind of do, was Steve Yzerman with the Detroit Red Wings. And he was a part of the team that, got them to the Stanley Cup Finals, got them to win the Stanley Cup. And that's the memory of sport the first memory of sports that I remember, is because my cousins and my uncle were all very big into sports, and we would go to their house and they would talk about the Red Wings when they were playing, and they got like the newspaper things framed and put up on the wall in the basement, and that's what I remember about it. And there's not a bad thing you can say about Steve Yzerman.
That's still like my favorite ever hockey franchise. Though the couple years, him, Fedorov, Chelios, is like there was never a team put together like that Red Wings team. They were fun to watch. I think that's about the time the North Stars shit on us and left. So that was like I was all in on the Red Wings. The only Detroit team I've ever cheered for.
Oh, it's a good team.
You see how Steve Yzerman's career ended though, like his final game.
But he's back, like, coaching now, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that's good, but I do believe he took a puck off the face, and I mean, like, close range, and that was like, and Steve's out, and I don't think he played another game after that. I could be wrong, but that's my last memory of Steve Yzerman, like, just taking a puck, like a slap shot off the face, and just, oh.
But what a badass for doing that,
100%.
right?
I mean, he was already 65 when that happened, probably, because he played for forever, but that was a good team.
So, long story short, what we've learned is, basically, I think from Justin and Tom, I've never met any of my heroes, so I think I'm just going to continue to just live on this trajectory because I have not been disappointed, quote unquote, by any of them yet. But never meet your heroes, sadly. To send us out, as always, Justin gives us his wise words of wisdom.
Okay, I feel like you don't meet your heroes. You know people that become your heroes. You're welcome, by the way, for doing that for you. But in that ilk, let's ask ourselves, like, who are our heroes and why do we choose these people? I mean, when you talk about these pro athletes that we grew up worshiping and then you meet them in person and they kind of fucking suck. So why aren't we emulating and propping up people who are better than that? And people who are actually contributing to society, not just sucking millions of dollars out of it because they can hit a ball or skate backwards or ski jump really far. How about teachers? Why aren't we emulating and respecting teachers? And I have to tell you that one of my true heroes was a substitute teacher in my junior high. His name was Baron von Raschke, also known as the Claw, who, after a lucrative career in pro wrestling, was stuck being a fucking substitute teacher in junior high in Burnsville, Minnesota. You want to talk about meeting your hero. That guy was awesome, and I'll tell you why. I don't think he had any teaching experience whatsoever. I don't even know if he was licensed to do it. He faked his way in. He would substitute in our German class, and he didn't speak a word of German. He had the accent and everything. Didn't speak a lick of German. But he would just basically come in and say, look at your book, read your book, be quiet. And then he would sit at the board, and he would, like, honest to God, draw on the chalkboard. They just killing time. But then, if you didn't sit quietly, every once in a while, he'd turn and go, ah! And my God, if you did not shit your pants a little bit when Baron von Raschke was in your classroom threatening to crush your skull with the claw, these are the kind of heroes we need in America, really worldwide. So the next time you see a pro wrestler and he needs $10 for the autograph you want him to sign, give it to him. Because otherwise he's going to end up being a fucking junior high teacher. And people will end up like me.
Not even a junior high teacher, a junior high substitute teacher.
Yeah. He also substituted for math sometimes. I don't think he knew much about math. Also, fun side story, when he wasn't doing that, his other side gig involved being the announcer on the Minnesota Zoo monorail. Honest to God, one day, just happened to be riding the monorail and hear this familiar voice. Look to your left. You see the moose. Majestic moose. Over left, bears. There's the bears. He had no other knowledge of it. I think he basically had like a picture with like a spot on the map, and it looked like a bear, so you'd know. Because I didn't even know if he could read. But again, these are my heroes, real heroes.
Oh, goodness. Thanks for joining Sweat Socks and All That Sauce with Justin, Kate, and Todd. If you want to watch the show on YouTube, follow us on socials at Sweat Socks Pod. And if you want to chime in, feel free to send us an email at sweatsockspodcast@gmail.com. Till next time.
Stay sweaty.
Why are you giving... Is that a shocker, Todd? What is that? I hate that. Sweat Socks and All That Sauce is hosted by Todd Lyons, Kay White, and Justin Michaels.
Our theme song made by Pat Leonards.
And the album artwork is by Mike Willis.